Today we're going to play Torterra EX. Torterra's best attribute is its 340 hit points. For one grass, it hits 30 damage for each of your grass Pokemon in play. That's the attack we will be building the deck around, so we can only use grass Pokemon. Its second attack is Grass Double Colorless for 150 damage, and it heals 50 from Torterra. We will almost never use this attack, but it is possible with the EXP share we play. Grotle is probably the only reason this deck works. It has the ability Sun Drenched Shell. It lets you search your deck for a grass Pokemon each turn. So after you get some of these guys out, everything flows smoothly. Since we can only play grass Pokemon, we can't play Bibarel in our deck for our draw. So we have to use Beautifly. Its Stoked Straw ability lets us draw up to 6 every turn. Our last Pokemon is Whimsicott. Its Wafting Heal ability lets us heal our active grass Pokemon when we evolve up to Whimsicott. It's basically like the old card Max Potion, so it does require us to discard all the energy attached to our active, but luckily our attack is only 1 energy, so it's not a big deal. Our goal with this deck is to go second and use TM Evolution to get out 2 Grotle or 1 Grotle and a Silcoon. We play 4 Arven in hopes we draw it on our first turn. Unfortunately, there is no Turtwig with 70 HP, so we can't use Buddy Poffin to find them. Instead, we have to rely on Nest Ball and Artazon to find our basics. Our ace spec is Hero's Cape. It gives Torterra 440 hit points, so it shouldn't get one-shot by anything except fire Pokemon. Other than that, the deck is pretty straightforward. We got 3 Iono for draw and disruption, 2 research for draw, 2 bosses orders for gust, our Nest Ball and Ultra Ball to find our Pokemon, 2 Super Rod to recover our Pokemon so that we can keep our bench full for Torterra's attack, 2 Earthen Vessel to be able to find energy through Arven, 2 Rare Candy if we need to evolve up quick, a Counter Catcher for Gust or TM Evo, and EXP share so that we can attack with our baby Torterra that has the Evo Press attack for a grass and a colorless. It does 50 times the amount of evolution Pokemon we have in play. And to finish it out, we have our 2 Artazon and 8 basic grass energies. Alright, so game 1, I believe we are up against Lugia Cincino. Here we're just calling the coin flip. We choose to go second. Start like basically the perfect hand here. Grotle, TM Evo, a couple grass energy. Yeah, I see Cincino in the active, so I just know that it's Lugia right away. And for some reason they retreat to Lugia. I thought this was really weird. Like they could just assume that I'm not going to attack. Because I started a stage 2 basic. Here I am just looking through my deck. Seeing how many outs I have to basics. Because I'm hoping to get at least another Nest Ball or Artazon here. The research was kind of a perfect top deck. I basically get the perfect hand. Another Turtwig, 2 Nest Balls. There I am deciding if I want to risk getting out only 1 Grotle. But since my opponent did not get any Archeops in the discard pile, I decided to go for it. Because I have no draw, but I have an Ultra Ball, so I can get the Beautifly next turn and then draw up to 6 and basically get rolling. This kind of makes me nervous when I see them get immediately flipped for an Archeops and then the Iono. I don't know, I guess they were looking for a basic there. And I draw all of my supporter cards, which is not ideal because I don't really want to put both of my boss and a research and an Iono on the bottom, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So they just read the wind, which is fine. I wouldn't have minded them to take a knockout though, so I could start attacking right away here. But I do believe I decide to Arven for Rare Candy and start swinging, if I remember correctly. And I play a little slow. It's something I've been trying to work on. Like, this is in 2x speed. It's probably my biggest weakness is just how slow that I play. And this is the version that I had Cricketune and double EXP share, it looks like. I thought the little Torterra was going to end up being more relevant, and there's a Cricketune that adds 40 HP to your grass Pokemon. And I was in between that and Whimsicott, but after a couple games, I ran into a lot of situations that just full healing the Torterra and the active was more than enough to lock up the game. So I switched over to the Whimsicott, and it will come in handy, I believe, in both of the next games. Alright, my opponent's kind of going through it here, having to discard 3 decent cards with Serena just to draw 1, but they do get both Archeops out, which they're gonna need. It takes them 5 energy to knock out a Torterra in one shot. Now, here I could boss. I could boss the Archeops, I could boss the Cinccino, but I figure that since they're going to knock me out next turn, basically no matter what, because I've already got damage on the guy, I might as well knock out the active and get ahead on an attachment here. Throw down another EXP share. Because now what they should try to do is knock me out with their Lugia vstar and then try to one-shot my next Torterra with the Cinccino. But as long as they don't disrupt my hand, I do have the boss to take out the Cinccino next turn before it matters. Because they definitely shouldn't bring it up to attack with. That would be a mistake. I kind of forgot about the gift energy here. I was thinking that they're gonna have nothing almost no matter what, but nope, I give them a full hand, so they probably will get whatever they need. They do have good odds of being able to disrupt my hand this turn. I don't think they played any Ionos yet. But they put that double turbo energy. Oh no, it doesn't matter. They only need to do 120. Wow. For some reason I was thinking they needed to do 220, but they could have knocked me out with an Archeops too if they wanted to, but they probably want to keep that guy. So this turn I can just boss, knock out the Cinccino, and then I have no threat of getting one shot next turn. And depending on their energy, I won't even get two shot. You see, I don't know why it took me so long to decide to boss there. I'm acting like there's an actual choice, and that's just definitely the only correct play. The Torterra games really are just slow and grindy. Not the most exciting games to watch, but it is a cool card. I wish they made it a little stronger. I think they could have made the attack 40 for each grass Pokemon in play, and that would have been just fine. It would have made the card a lot better, but not broken. Oh yeah, and then putting a double turbo on both Lugias here, that just basically makes it so I'm never going to lose the game. That was just a massive mistake on their part. They need to like two-shot this while also retreating to another Lugia next turn and getting another Minccino down to evolve. I pretty much have the game locked up at this point. Either way though, so I can attack with the baby Torterras. And that's what I'm trying to get set up here, so that I can have 6 evolution guys in play. So I super add some more Torterra lines back in. Yeah, and them just having to 3-shot me here basically locks up the game. So now they're not going to knock me out. All I have to do is knock them out and then boss for game. And I'm probably going to draw it because I have 2 Beautiflies in play, so I can just draw through my deck. One thing I didn't expect when I first built this was how quick this deck thins out with the Grotles. You get down to a small deck really, really quickly. And now here I'm overthinking everything instead of just taking the knockout. There we go. And at this point they probably should just concede. There's nothing they can do to win, because the Beautifly has 1 retreat, so I'm always going to be able to retreat that. And now, yeah, now their only boss stall target is gone, but I would have been able to attack with that regardless. Alright, our next matchup is against the Ancient Toolbox kind of a deck, but they also have Roaring Moon EXs. I don't really know what to think of it. I am doing this on the casual ladder because I don't really think that Torterra has the most competitive potential. But after these games, I don't know, it's not too bad. It's really just, its Snorlax match probably isn't the greatest because you cannot really ever one-shot them except for with the baby Torterra. And she and PAL will one-shot you. And there's that new fire ancient deck that is just a terrible, terrible matchup. And I think maybe if only one of those decks were a very bad matchup, it would be fine, but it's the fact that there's so many bad matchups. We don't really have the best hand in the world here, and they get a decent start. Luckily though, we top decked Iono, so that makes this hand have a lot more potential. And I just check my prizes. And I'm debating attaching to the bench of the active, but when I looked through my deck I saw that both of my TM evolutions were in there, so I decided to risk it. And the risk pays off. And now I'm just debating Ultra Balling and getting Beautifly's basic, but I couldn't evolve into Silcoon anyway, so I just go for the evolution. Now, I'm not sure if this is a good matchup for us or not, because they do one-shot us, but we also one-shot them, so it really just depends on who takes the first 2 prizes, or I could go behind and end up being ahead if they miss an attack or something, because the Roaring Moon deck is not as consistent as it once was with the rotation of the Moltres V. They Ultra Ball away a supporter, and this is when I find out that it's like Ancient Box Moon. At first I just thought it was just a Turbo Roaring Moon deck, which would probably be much worse of a matchup than this version of the deck. Alright, now we can start rolling. Get the Wurmples out, and then we're guaranteed to have draw in a couple turns. But since this deck is such low maintenance, we're just able to set up after just getting a couple Grotles out. I'll get a second Wurmple down to guarantee it. And there's really no point in getting a Cottonee because this moon is just going to one-shot me. And I can pass to them. Kind of hoping their hand is dead, but since they Ultra Balled away one of these Explorer's Guidances last turn, I figured it wasn't. That it really isn't the best supporter card though, because it does not get you very many cards into your hand. They just play a Dark Patch, which, I don't know, kind of seems like a waste of a Dark Patch to me. Because they were one attachment anyway away from attacking with that guy. And they mill with Pokestop and just basically end up PAL penning back in the cards they milled. They get poisoned, which, I don't know, doesn't really matter. Now, they only have one card in their hand, so I'm wondering, should I play the waiting game with them to see if I can boss before they can retreat and start attacking? What I end up deciding to do is just say screw it and attack. Because they have Pokestop, they have a bunch of ways to get out of the active, and I might as well just start swinging because they're eventually going to attack with a one prizer anyway, so I'll be able to even out the prize trade eventually. I'll just grab more of my guys to thin out my deck. Since I don't want to evolve them yet, I want to keep a few Grotles around. And there's no point in putting the Hero's Cape on my guy because it's just going to get knocked out with Roaring Moon regardless. So I just attack, get another baby Torterra, which, I don't know, I could do with or without. They do end up getting the top deck anyway, so I'm glad that I attacked because they would have gotten out of the active. Alright, and they got the switch card anyway. So they're definitely knocking me out this turn, and the fact that they do not have another Roaring Moon EX down just makes this game seem very much so in my favor. I think this is probably a pretty good matchup anyway because I just start one-shotting and I was able to take a prize before them. And I have my one prizers that can knock out their two prizers. So all in all, it's probably slightly favored for Torterra, I would imagine. Unless they're able to just take a KO, turn one going second or something, and stream knockouts the rest of the game. Then there's really nothing I can do, but the way that these lists with the baby Roaring Moon are built, I don't think they're able to stream EXs all that efficiently. So I just draw my cards, attach my energies, and take the knockout. Pretty decent prize cards. Research is always nice to have in the deck, but they probably don't play much disruption, so maybe it doesn't matter. Sada. I really like the Sneasler with the Brute Bonnet combo. I think it's super cool. There's also that Stadium that makes Poison do more damage now. So you can do with Sneasler and the Stadium. You can Poison for 50 every turn, which I think is pretty cool way to bump up damage. They poison me. They're already hitting for 220. That's pretty good. And top deck that, I would have gotten it no matter what with Grotle, but this should just basically make the game unwinnable for them. And now I'm just trying to... Yeah, that locks up the game 100%. I have two attackers that can knock out whatever they send up, and they cannot take 4 prizes in one turn, so I just win. I really didn't even need to get the heal off with Whimsicott, but might as well. They play their trekking shoes. I don't know, I think they're just thinking if there's any way that they can win. They want to get one more prize to get a little bit extra points for the Battle Pass XP or whatever it is, probably. And it looks like we're going second this game, which is exactly what we want. And this game will be against Charizard, which is probably a pretty good matchup. The only thing that really threatens us is their Radiant Zard, and once they've taken, what, like 4 prizes, they can threaten a one-shot if we don't have our Hero's Cape. Looks like they get down what they need going first, because they're not really under any threat of being KO'd on our first turn. And we have a fine starting hand. Just checking my prizes here, seeing how many Grotles are in the deck. We got our Vessel, which is pretty important if we want to use Arven with a hand like this. So I'm going to have to get Vessel and TM Evo, which makes the hand a little awkward because I have to Vessel something away and then Ultra Ball 2 other cards away. And I have to keep research. At the bare minimum, I have to keep my research in my hand. Yep, Ultra Ball away. Ultra Ball and Torterra, I guess? That makes sense, because I do know there's other Torterras in my deck, and I have 2 Super Ads. And this will keep an attachment in my hand for next turn. Alright, so we just TM Evo. Now the deck will be flowing smoothly. They evolve right up to Charmeleon, which means they will not be taking a KO this turn. I assumed that they would just Candy and Zard and knock me out. And they evolve into a Pidgeot, or Pidgeotto. You don't see that very much. I'm debating if I want to evolve that. I probably don't. Like I said before, I have multiple super ads. I want to research and see if I hit Candy and if I draw any Pokemon so I can get out every single thing that I want. A Rare Candy would have been nice there though, to just start swinging right away. Almost certainly they will be taking knockouts next turn. I kind of have to evolve that guy, or else they can just sit there for as long as they want and set up their board with no threat of me ever attacking them. Get out of Cottonee. And that looks like about all that I can do, and I'll pass to them. Attach, evolve the Pidgeot. What will they get? They Rare Candy the bench. So I assume that they were going to attach to the active and knock me out, but they just don't. Very strange. So now we just start doing our thing, getting all of our guys out. That's one of the coolest parts about this deck, is just you get a few Grotles out and within a few turns your deck is like totally thinned out of Pokemon. It made me wonder if I even really needed the 4 Ultra Ball in the deck, because if you get the TM Evo off going second, you really don't need Ultra Balls. Or that many, maybe a couple. but you probably keep them in there. Just it's not worth taking them out and risk bricking or going first and then you can't set up or something like that. Candy out another Torterra. Attach our EXP share. And alright, we're not putting the Hero's Cape on the active. Yes, because if we attach the Hero's Cape, we're still getting 2-shot. Because we're going to take 1 prize there and then 2 prizes on this next turn. Which is going to mean they're just going to be doing a ton of damage. So they'll do 210 and then 270. Grab out our Beautifly. Super good draw card. I like the Beautifly a lot. Evolve up the Grotle into the baby Torterra with the EXP share since it takes 2 attachments to attack with, so we just let 2 EXP shares go off, or 2 knockouts, move the energy to the bench, and then we can attack with that guy. I'm debating what to Ultra Ball away here, because I want to thin out my hand to draw. And they haven't been doing much, so I don't really want to Iono them and give them more cards. And of course we wanted to see if we got the energy off of the draw before max potioning our guy and getting rid of the energy. But now we're just in a commanding lead with that heal. The only thing they can do to knock me out now is candy their Charizard and put 2 energy on Radiantzard. Which wastes another 2 energy, and most Charizards are playing 6 energy. I do think, if I remember correctly, this guy's playing a ton of energy. And he promotes the wrong Pokemon for that play. You always, for any play, you always want to promote your free retreater. Now you're pretty much forced into attacking with your Charizard or retreating energy off. Yeah, and he just passes. I think that was like just a huge mistake. He didn't get it anyway, but it's good practice just to promote your free retreater no matter what. And I want to get rid of that threat of the Radiantzard. And there's no way we lose this game at this point. We have enough attackers lined up to take us the rest of the way. Nothing against my opponents, but they're newer players, it seems. So I wasn't confident enough with this deck to take it on the ranked ladder. But in hindsight, maybe I should have. I ended up just playing these games, and I thought they were a good matchup, or good showings of the deck functioning well against meta decks, so I went with that. They knock us out. I go with that guy. I'm not 100% sure why. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. I just throw in the 1 prizer at some point. I know them to 4. I just Beautifly into all my supporter cards. I don't know, really. I think I'm thinking about playing the Super Rod and getting out another Turtwig. I'm trying to think if the math ever matters for the baby Torterra, but it doesn't. I should just attack. I'm not losing this game. I don't know why I'm overthinking everything. It is a bad habit of mine. I try to think of any way that I could lose and try to do a play against that, but then I end up just spending too much time thinking about the same thing over and over again and playing real slow. There's basically nothing they can do other than like attack with Pidgeot this turn and then make us attack into Pidgeot and then retreat into Charizard. Or no, they're going to knock out our Torterra, but they would need to attack into our big Torterra. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there's really anything they could do. They needed to attack into it with their Pidgeot to have a chance of knocking it out next turn. And I just attack and win. Alright. That was the Torterra EX deck. Thanks for checking it out. Pretty cool card. Really cool Pokemon, I think. They could have definitely made him a bit stronger, but they didn't. So, hope you guys liked it. Take care.